Columbo.
Oh. Hi, Mr. Franklin. Just finishing up this last Melville mystery. I didn't get a chance the other day.
All right, now what are you doing here?
Well, I'm waiting for you. I happen to be in the neighborhood.
Oh, you're always in the neighborhood. And you tell me what right you've got to keep those movers out of this office?
Oh, listen, I'm sorry about that. It's just, you know what I thought? I thought you and I should talk alone.
You and I have nothing to talk about.
Yes, we do, Mr. Franklin. We have something to talk about. I'm here to arrest you for the murder of your partner.
What?
Now, it's my duty to inform you of your constitutional rights.
Oh, you cut that drivel. I've written that stuff so many times, I know it by heart. And what is this nonsense? You're going to arrest me.
Come on, Mr. Franklin. Why don't you make a statement and save us both a lot of trouble? You know, I've really got you.
All right, Lieutenant. You got me. I'm your prisoner here. Clamp the irons on me. But you want to give me a dime first so I can phone my attorney? Because I promise you I'm going to sue you and your department for false arrest and defamation of character.
I kind of knew it right from the start. It was nothing definite. It was a lot of little things. Little things. Driving back from San Diego on the day of the murder instead of taking a plane. The open mail. Never showing any genuine emotion for a man that you worked with for 10 years.
With that, you know what they're going to do? They're going to laugh you right out of court.
But they're not going to laugh at the insurance policy, are they? I've got a photostatic copy of it here in my pocket. They're going to laugh at the fact that you withdrew $15,000, put it back the next day. I've got the book that you gave to Miss Lysanka with your signature in it.
You expect to get a true bill of indictment on that trivia? Come on, Lieutenant. I was down in San Diego.
So was your partner.
That's a provocative statement. Can you prove that?
Yes. Not with the witness, because you killed the witness. But I got another way to prove it.
Well, you enlighten me. I must say I enjoy watching a man raise without any cards in his hand.
You know what, Ken? I'm going to tell you the truth. For a while there, I never thought I was going to get you. Believe me, you had me going in such circles, I couldn't figure it out. Suddenly, I thought of something. How clever that first murder was. The phone gimmick, working late in the office. Brilliant.
Oh, you awarding gold medals today?
Yes, for the first one, not for the second one. That was sloppy. Mrs. Melville, she'd have been very disappointed.
Well, come on, get to the climax, Lieutenant. You're talking to a writer.
Am I? That's not what I heard. And that's the key, that you're not a writer. When Mrs. Ferris told me that you didn't contribute to the writing, that her husband did all the work,
That's a lie.
I had to say to myself, how could a man with no talent for mysteries make up such a clever murder? If you were that ingenious, you'd be able to write your own books.
Go ahead, I'm fascinated, as boring as it may be.
Then I got it. The first one, the clever one, that wasn't yours. The second one, the sloppy one, that was yours. But not the first.
Oh? And whose idea was that, then?
Your partner's. Had to be. And his wife told me how conscientious he was. You know, the way he used to write down his ideas on every odd scrap of paper, backs of matches, whatever was
so that's why you wouldn't let the movers in.
Well, I had to rummage around here before they emptied everything out. Is this your partner's handwriting? Well, I think I can prove it is. Maybe I ought to read this to you. Idea for a Melville book, perfect alibi. A wants to kill B. Drives B to a remote house and has him call his wife in city. Tells her he's working late at the office. Bang, bang. Sound familiar? That's the part you used. Practically word for word. Should I read some more?
No.
Officer, with this, I think I got a conviction, don't you?
You gotta admit I had you going for a while now, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
You wanna know the irony of all of this? That is my idea. The only really good one I ever had. I must have told it to Jim over 5 years ago. Whoever thought that idiot would write it down?
You mind telling us what you're doing?
I'd say that was none of your business, Lieutenant.
Well, if you say so, but, it's gonna be kind of hard to explain, isn't it? I mean, breaking and entering, that's against the law. Checking the trunk of your car, what in the world were you looking for?
Papers. Or a case. I thought they were here. It's an emergency.
Why don't you admit it? You were searching the trunk because that's where you hid the body.
All right, what's the next step?
Why don't we go downtown and talk it
Am
over?
I under arrest?
I guess you could
On
say
what
so.
evidence?
I think it's gonna be more comfortable downtown.
All right, let's get this farce over with.
Grab his arms.
It was an accident, Arthur. It wasn't premeditated. I hardly knew your wife. I didn't want to hurt either one of you. It happened. How'd you get it?
I got it from the cut on her cheek in your ring. You never should have let me read your palm. 'Cause then I felt the ring and I felt the two diamonds sticking out in that raised rectangular border. That matched up with the cut on her cheek.
You should have taken that job.
Clear this table. Where'd you find those?
Linen closet in the hallway.
Edna, how could you?
Do you believe me? I have no idea how they got there.
Better not say another word.
Edna, he's right. Do you intend to charge her formally, Captain?
It's up to Lieutenant Columbo. It's his case.
What do you mean it's his case? I thought he was...
We know what you thought, Mr. Kingston. Lieutenant?
Well, I think we can get started with the fingerprinting.
Let's get the kit.
Careful there. Be very careful. Gee, there's something, aren't they? Pastels, you know.
May I ask what this is all about, Lieutenant?
Both of them.
Lieutenant?
Oh, Mr. Kingston. Yes, just give us a moment, please. Do you mind?
We're getting a few.
Good.
I'd like an answer, if you don't mind.
Well, I'd have to start with your uncle's will.
What about it?
Well, you see, he pulled the rug out from under you when he left his collection to Mrs. Matthews, so you only had one thing that you could do. Murder him and blame it on her.
I hope you realize the full import of what you're saying, Lieutenant. There are witnesses here.
You see, under the law, anyone who criminally causes the death of someone else can't inherit from that person. Is that right, Mr. Simpson?
That's correct.
So if Mrs. Matthews is convicted, you're next in line. Everything goes to you. That's why you planted the gun. And that's why you planted the wrapping paper. And that's why you planted these paintings.
Dale, I can't believe it.
Now, but you'd like to, wouldn't you? It'd get you right off the hook. All right, Lieutenant. You claim that I planted these paintings? Suppose you prove it.
Can we?
Yeah.
Yeah. With fingerprints.
Sorry to disappoint you, Lieutenant. Fingerprints won't help you at all. My fingerprints are all over those paintings. My uncle and I unwrapped them when they came back from the exhibit. I told you, didn't I? I told you myself. They're covered with my prints.
No, we're not looking for your prints.
What?
Do you remember the time that I was in your apartment and you came in with some paintings and you said that they were watercolors and you wanted to evaluate them? And remember, I wanted to see them and you wouldn't let me? And I even touched them?
You touched them?
Yes, my fingerprints are on those paintings. Now, if Mrs. Matthews is guilty, how could my fingerprints get on paintings that she stole?
This is entrapment. It's a setup, that's all. You touched those paintings just now while I wasn't looking. You saw him do it, didn't you? You put your prints on those paintings while you were bent over watching them when they were working on it. He touched them. You...
Lieutenant Columbo? Is that you? Come on, Lieutenant. Come in and have a drink. Lieutenant Columbo.
This is the way your brother came in that night, isn't it?
How did you get in?
Same way your brother did, with a spare key. One of my men located your locksmith. He was very cooperative.
What do you expect to prove by this bit of nonsense?
Well, I don't want to prove anything, ma'am. I came to arrest you.
Arrest me?
Yes, ma'am. For the murder of your brother.
Oh.
And I did have a reason for coming in this way. I wanted to see the look on your face.
Very well. I'll consider myself under arrest. And now I want to see the look on your face when I call my lawyer.
You know what's ironic? I knew it wasn't an accident the first night. I knew it as soon as I saw that newspaper, but I didn't have any proof. I had to wait for the proof. I had to wait for your fiancé to give it to me.
From Peter?
Yes, ma'am. Although I don't think he meant to. You see, according to your story, you were asleep at night. The alarm woke you up, you reached for a gun, and you shot what you thought was a burglar.
Which is exactly what happened.
Couldn't be. Because Mr. Hamilton, who was driving up outside at the time, he heard both the shots and the alarm.
Of course he did. What difference does that make?
Oh, big difference. He heard the shots first, then the alarm. That's the cart before the horse. I mean, how could the alarm wake you if the shots came first? You see, what really happened was your brother came walking in here, just the way I did tonight. And you shot him. And then you set the alarm a few seconds later.
Peter is mistaken.
No, he's a very good lawyer, and he prides himself on his memory. And he won't like it. But he'll testify against you in court if he has to. And along with the other holes in your story, I think they'll convict you. Oh, really, you don't want to do that. Policeman outside, what would be the point? Besides, you're too classy a woman. Man, would you get dressed now? Take all the time you need.
That's David's cigar box.
I told you this would be worth coming out for, didn't I?
Yeah. Yeah, it sure is.
You see, except for the hinges, which are a little shaky, This whole thing is in one piece.
This means that David was not murdered, doesn't it, huh?
Oh, yes, sir, yes. This changes everything. There's no question about it, yeah. Must have been the gas tank after all.
Oh, that's comforting news. I mean, for her. Even so, I'm afraid she's not going to be very happy to see me up there.
Why, do you think that she blamed you for her husband's death?
Well, I certainly do. I mean, after all, I was the one that was fighting David on this cell business. Everybody knew that. I figured some troublemaker misunderstood and stole the box out of my office. Fortunately, I was wrong. I can't tell you how good that cigar box looks to me. Now, if I can just get Doris to tell me why she let me go.
Oh, I can tell you that.
You can?
Yeah, I think she fired you for a couple of reasons. Like those secret meetings that you had with the competition last year, like that patent that you sold to a friend very cheaply.
What are you talking about? Those are lies.
Really? Well, Mr. Quincy wrote them all down in a report to Mr. Buckner.
Well, then Quincy made them up himself. They're simply not true.
You promised Aunt Dory never to say anything about that. What are you trying to do, cause more trouble?
Well, it doesn't make any difference now. I mean, everything's changed now, isn't it? Because of this. You know, and then there was that thing with Miss Bishop.
Lieutenant, now that is private information.
Wait a minute. What thing with Miss Bishop?
No, I am warning you.
Well, you see, Miss Bishop and Mr. Buckner, you know, for the past year or so, they've been...
That is enough!
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to hurt anybody.
I just don't know why we can't sit here. Sit here and just sit here quietly while we ride to the top of the mountain.
You know something, Roger? The truth is hard to find. Sometimes. But sometimes it's right in front of you and you can't prove it.
What?
Do you know, I had a whole theory worked out how you could have fixed this box here. But I mean a high IQ thing. So that the explosive might not be discovered. It might get burned up with the gasoline. Oh, yes. I had a theory worked out how you could have done all sorts of things. Now, turns out to be just an ordinary cigar box.
Yeah. Well, listen, now that, don't you think you should take it to a laboratory and have it examined? I mean, now you've got all these fancy theories.
What on earth for? The theories are all wrong. And that would only prove it. No, that would make me look foolish. Mr. Logan, would you care for a cigar?
No, thank you.
No? And, you know, and the funny thing is this, Roger. This whole thing could have been a plan of yours.
Huh?
Like those reports of Mr. Quincy's. You could have forged those on his typewriter. And the photograph between Miss Bishop and your uncle. Any good photographer could trick that up. You know, you just do some double printing.
Oh, yeah.
And replace one figure with somebody else's. And even Mr. Quincy's new bank account. That could have been opened by anybody. Even you. Yes, and Mr. Logan's cigar's being stolen. Well, see, now there you go. You're looking at your watch again.
Would you do me a favor? Would you please keep quiet?
Why? It's only a dumb theory of mine. I mean, it only goes to prove how wrong I could be. You see what I figured? I figured there was two people between you and the presidency. Mr. Logan here and your uncle. And now there's just you. Of course, you had to fire Miss Bishop. I mean, an executive secretary, she probably knows too much.
Everett, are you just going to sit here and let him just mumble on?
Why not, Roger? It's all very interesting.
You are more of a fool than he is.
The trouble is, even if I was right...
Will you just shut up?
Roger, what's bothering you? What's the matter?
Shut up! Oh, my... We have got to get rid of that box.
Why? What for?
Shut up! Give me that box. Give me that box! Give me that...
Where did you get that box of cigars, Lieutenant?
From your secretary.
My secretary?
Yeah, she had 3 boxes. But I hope you didn't mind.
No. I don't suppose I do in this case, do I, Lieutenant? Oh, aren't those supposed to be evidence, Lieutenant Columbo?
Yeah, I guess they are. It's a shame, though.
Just one more thing.